This is Gabriella Galarza with Auburn University with Connie Fitch Taylor. We are at her home in Auburn, Alabama. Just to preface that you do know that we are recording this and that you have consented.
Yes, I do. And you have my consent.
Yes. Okay. How about you just go about and just tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are and.
Okay. Okay, like she said, my name is Connie Fitch Taylor, and I am a lifelong resident of Auburn, Alabama. I have three adult sons, and five grandchildren, um, five granddaughters, as a matter of fact. And I am a member of the Auburn City Council, Ward 1, which is the northwest end of Auburn. And this is my second term on the council. I am a member of the Mount Vernon Baptist Church, Auburn Mount Vernon Baptist Church in Auburn, and I work at Tuskegee University. I've been at Tuskegee for 11 years, but before I came to Tuskegee, I actually worked at Auburn University, and I did 30 years at Auburn University. And I work in the field of facilities management. Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up in Auburn?
As a child, I basically lived on the northwest side of Auburn. So I've lived here on this side of Auburn basically all my life. Okay. I went to elementary school here, and my elementary school at the time was before the schools were integrated. I went to Boykin, and from Boykin I went to Drake. Drake was a high school at the time, and it started with the sixth grade. So from first to fifth grade, I was actually at Boykin, and then from in the sixth grade is when we integrated, and so I did my sixth grade, but I went from there to the Auburn Junior High School, then to Auburn High School. So I live with both of my parents, which are deceased now. So I did come from a two-parent home, but I was raised mainly by an aunt and a grandmother because my parents were away because they trying to make ends meet and stuff. So basically, most kids was with their grandparents. And so I was one of those kids. I got four other siblings. I got two brothers, and I have two sisters, and one of my sisters is deceased now. My older sister is deceased. And I have a younger sister that suffered with mental illness, and so she's in a nursing home. And then I have one brother that live in Lochapoka, and I have another brother that live in Montgomery, who has served in the military. As children, we was reared up mainly in the housing authorities, and so we came along, and I went off to college. After I graduated, I went to Tuskegee. At the time, it was Tuskegee Institute, which is now Tuskegee University. So that's how old I'm at. It used to be Tuskegee Institute, and I didn't complete Tuskegee. I actually started having children when I was about 20. So I went on and started working. So I started my career at Auburn. And then I finished at Faulkner University. I got my bachelor's degree in business administration at the age of 50 at Faulkner University. So, growing up as a child, it was pretty hard. But we seen a lot of good times because Auburn was different than it is now. And so there was a lot of neighborhoods that consist of black people. So we had a lot of different businesses in our neighborhoods. So, life was good. I can remember one time, and I'm just going to say this, I can remember being a little girl, and we was living with my aunt, and my aunt used to shop downtown Auburn, but she would never take us to downtown with her. And so when I did get a chance, when my mom come around and she did take us to downtown Auburn, I can remember seeing signs that say whites only, blacks only. And during that time, um, right where Toomer's Corner at, and in the back of those stores, black people had to enter from the back, and we couldn't go in the front. So I came up along that area.
Okay. Can you go into a little bit about how that shaped your experience as a child, seeing those white only and black only signs and entering from the back?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see it much, so it didn't really affect. And I think that's the reason why my aunt never took us downtown, because she didn't want us to encounter racism and that type of stuff. So she didn't really take us down. It's just sometimes when my mom and dad, they had vehicles. My aunt used to walk downtown. Okay, and so when she would get in a vehicle, and they had a jean shop downtown in Auburn, and so she would take us down there school shopping, and so that's basically the only time. Or she would take us, like during the Christmas holidays, downtown to buy us jeans at the jean shop, and so that's the only time I actually got a chance to see him. But I don't think I ever questioned it, because it wasn't like we was understanding what was really why the signs was out and that type of stuff. And so I never it never really fazed me until I got older and began to understand what was actually going on.
So when you started at Drake, that was in 6th grade. That was when integration was happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go a little bit about that experience of going from a all black at school at Boykin to Drake, where there was white kids?
I think my first year was at the junior high, so we went over to the junior high, and the schools was integrated, and I wasn't never raised as a child to just look and see how people was treating you. We were just in school with kids, and so I don't think that it really affected me growing up, because I wasn't really taught at home that it was existing. So all we knew is that we was changing schools. But I did begin to see people that didn't look like me. And so some of them was friendly, and some of them was just mean. But, during that time, you just thinking, kids mean on both sides. So it didn't really affect me. I think I see more racism as I begin to get older, and seeing more racism toward older people than the newer generation.
Did you have any white friends growing up?
I did. Actually, my mom would put me in a lot of different things in school, because we had the opportunity then to be in different organizations. So I was a brownie. Okay. So I started off as a brownie. So and then we went to Girl Scouts. A cadet, and then up into Girl Scouts. So I came up along there, and I met a lot of different white friends, and actually the Girl Scout leader was a white lady, and she used to ride a bicycle. I'm trying to think of her name while we talking, because she stayed over in Cary Woods. And like right now I can't think of her name, but I think everybody in Auburn is familiar with her. I think she has passed on now, but she used to be our first Girl Scout teacher, and so she didn't teach racism and prejudice. She wanted all of us to get along. So in Girl Scouts, we all got along. My first white friend was named Julie Holmes. Okay, and her mom and family was really, really friendly, and my mom and her mom got to be friends. And when we went on camping trips, my mom would go and her mom would go, and they were friends. And Julie, and unfortunately, I think somewhere in high school, Julie, she passed away. So and that was devastating.
Do you mind asking me how did she pass away?
She was in a they went up to the lake, and she drowned.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Going back to school, when Drake was integrated, what was that experience like through teachers? Like white and black teachers. Was there a majority of white teachers at Drake whenever it was integrated, or was it a mixture?
Well, at Drake, when I was there, the school. It was black teachers.
Okay.
Okay, and but when I got to the junior high, it was a sort of a mixture, but it was more white teachers than black teachers. So it was it was an all black school when I was at Drake. So when it became integrated, I had left Drake,
Okay.
but went to junior high.
Okay. Auburn Junior High.
Auburn Junior High.
Okay. Did you have any teachers that stuck out to you going through school?
Yes, I did. Miss Freeman. Miss Freeman was a white teacher, and it was different at the black schools that it was when the schools got integrated and we went to white schools, because when we were coming up and we was from first to sixth grade, we could be disciplined in kids. We could actually we could get disciplined by the teachers and the principal. And when I say discipline, that means paddling. Okay, all that changed when we went, when we changed schools. So people were different. I guess it was different with kids by the race, because it was okay for the teacher and the principal to paddle you in the culture we came from. So that changed, and so I think the teacher that I would look back at when I was before the schools got integrated with Miss Dowdell. Miss Dowdell was from Lochapoka, and we used to ride the train on a field trip to Miss Dowdell's house to Lochapoka. So she used to take us to on field trip. They had all this land in Lochapoka, so we would go down and get on the train and we'd ride to her house and come back. So so with the black teacher, I think it was Miss Dowdell, and with the white teacher, it was Miss Freeman.
Okay. Is Miss Dowdell related to Reverend Dowdell? I
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the kinship there. Yeah, so it could be a separate set of Dowdells.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up near Auburn University?
I never knew I was near Auburn University.
Was it like two totally different worlds?
Yeah, so it was two. We stayed on this side of the track. They said, people was on that side of the track. So I didn't realize till I was older that we was on the other side of the track. So like I said, my aunt kept us away from a lot of racism and stuff. So we basically lived in our own world, So my aunt and my grandmother actually worked for the fraternity houses. Okay. On campus. So one of my aunts, she wasn't the one that raised us, but she lived close by the other aunt that was raising us. And she would have the white families with, my mom cleaned up houses for, white people. And my aunt also at one time too, and they would give us clothes. So we was always well dressed, because they would always give us, different clothes and stuff. And one of my aunts, she loved to iron, and so everything we did. So we was very well dressed little kids. So I never thought it was that there was prejudice out there, because we did get a chance to see white people when they come in our neighborhoods and they drop off my aunt at home, because she would ride with them, and I just realized as I got older that she would, I don't care who in the car, it could be her and the person she worked for, she's always sitting on the back seat. And I didn't realize that, it could just, it was just like that person was the taxi driver, and they would always have on the back seat. So they never subjected us to why that was going on. But now that I, look back at history, and I can understand why that was happening.
Did you ever go to Opelika?
What, you mean school?
No, like just visiting, going to restaurants.
Yeah, I had family in Opelika.
Okay. So you frequented there quite often?
Yeah, well, my dad had a brother that lived in Opelika, so yeah, we would visit. They would come here and we'll go up there. But it wasn't like it's Opelika and Auburn. We were just going to visit family. I don't even think I even realized I was in Opelika. I just knew that we were going to visit my uncle.
Uh-huh. So when you were growing up, you never really saw racism until you got older. At
Hmm.
what age would you say that?
I would say probably once I start to go into the junior high school, when the school's integrated, and I was seeing that we were treated differently.
Hmm.
Um, I could see that the white students there was some students that were prejudiced, but during the time, and that was in the 70s. So during those times, I think black kids was pretty aggressive, so they knew how to basically take up for themselves.
Hmm.
But when it come down to punishment, I saw that punishment was different. If a black and white kid get to fighting or something like that, then the black kid get punished by the schools, and the white kids, they can go back to class or whatever. But we were sent home to our parents and that type of stuff. And I think that's when people begin to realize that we were being treated differently.
Hmm. Did any of your family join the army, like go into Vietnam?
No, not my brother. He's in the military, but that's later on in life.
Okay.
But I don't recall any family member, but I'm quite sure there are family members that did go in, but I can't tell you nothing about their history.
Were you or your family part of the Auburn Freedom League?
Never heard of it.
No.
Freedom
The Freedom League, the Auburn Freedom League.
Freedom Link
League.
League.
Yes.
Okay, my mama's brother was part of every freedom organization there was, and I think that's how I got started with civil rights and that type of stuff, getting involved in that.
Were you part of the civil rights movement, like a lot?
I was part of the NAACP. Uh-huh.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
Well, actually, I would hear of people protesting. We had a TV, so we could see protesters going on TV, and a lot of flashbacks from Martin Luther King and what was going on in Selma and Montgomery and those places like that. And there was a movement here that my uncle was involved in that I became a part of through some of my through my relatives and some of his friends.
Hmm.
And so I, not realizing that I was actually joining an organization, I just thought I was just being a part of it, but I was actually joining an organization that fought against civil rights,
Hmm.
and that was the NAACP.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can you go a little bit about learning about the NAACP and how, like, what role they had in Auburn at that time?
Um, Basically, what role it was throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? They was fight. Here in Auburn, they was NAACP was fighting for the same thing that they was all over everywhere.
Hmm.
So it was all about people having equal rights
Hmm.
and being treated fairly, and just justice for all, and that type of stuff. So that's basically what this the NAACP was created to be,
Hmm.
is to fight for people's rights and making sure that everybody was treated equally. And I think most people stood off Martin Luther King in some of his words, and Malcolm X and those type people like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So the NAACP and the Auburn Freedom League and the Voting League never really ever crossed paths.
I don't know, and they probably have. I was young,
Okay.
okay, and I'm quite sure those organizations all interacted with one another. The NAACP stuck out at me the most,
Okay.
but I was probably part of all of it if it existed then. because my uncle was a part of all those organizations. And so he led me to be a part of the organizations. And I can, really remember being a part. The Voters League comes to mind too.
Okay.
So I was part of the Voters League back then, but not a member that I can say, because actually I was like the recording secretary for the NAACP, but I wasn't like the person that like on top, but just for the local group that was here, and I was just learning as a young lad to be part of an organization.
And so now, whenever the Auburn NAACP or like NAACP was kind of shut down in Alabama with that whole legal process, how did you react to that?
I was disappointed. I don't think they ever just shut down. I think they just became a little quieter, a little bit more laid back. But I think it always been there, and it was just a matter of getting the chapel started back and voices being heard again and that type of stuff. But I don't think they ever just shut down. So I think people started beginning because the NAACP did shut down some. They started creating different other organizations which stood for the same thing. Okay, so like the Concerned Citizens of Lee County, I was part of that. So other groups was formed. It's just that NAACP was a organization, a big organization. So people just started forming other little groups, calling them different things, calling them different names, but all of them serve the same purpose.
Can you go into detail about being on the council?
Being on the council? Oh, sure. I'm on the council now, so that'll be more more my topic. Well, actually, I actually went to school. My major was political science. But I didn't really get into political science for politics. I was looking more or less at a like lawyer or maybe paralegal role. So I wanted to start off in political science because you still got to know, a little politics and all that type of stuff. So I actually did not set out to be a politician. I don't even think that it even crossed my mind. But I always wanted to be a fighter. I wanted to be a person that can debate. Even in school, I loved to be on the debate team and those type of things like that. And so back, I actually married A.L. Dadiel, Bishop Dadiel's brother. Okay. But I knew Bishop Dadiel before I knew the brother. So I got acquainted with Bishop Dadiel because I liked the direction at the time that he was going and that he was taking the people, and the people had trust in him. So to some of us, he was just like a Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't scared to speak out. He wasn't scared to get in front of the press. He wasn't scared to, just defend people and speak on civil rights. So I began to basically shadow him. And he introduced me to our county commissioner at the time, which was John Andrew Harris. Okay. And he also introduced me to our state representative, Miss Beverly Warren. So I began to shadow these people and follow them and seeing what they were standing for, and that they was basically, even in the political role, they were still fighting for the justice and the rights of black people. And so I became interested in that. So I served on the on a subcommittee for the county commission with a group of, and I'm going to city council, okay? I served on a subcommittee with the county commission with a bunch of white guys, okay? So I was the only black that was on that subcommittee. So I felt so out of place because of, I guess, their views, and it was really awkward. And most of these guys had lots of money. So I'm just a little poor black girl from a community, but I had knowledge. So that was my first encounter with politics, other than shadowing politicians. Well, that went on for almost 20 years. Okay? So after I married my husband, which was Daddy's brother, I became more involved in what was really going on in the communities. I would go to the city council meetings. I would meet different people. And so it sort of sparked an interest in that, maybe one day I'll do this. I wasn't ready at the time, which was probably about 10 years ago. I wasn't ready or thinking about even running. And then I started talking to different people, and there was people that encouraged me and said, Connie, you need to run for city council. You need to run for city council. Well, I thought back to our first black city council person that sat in that seat was a black woman politician, which was Mary Brooks. So I sort of did a little research on her time as a council person. Then I got to looking at that the only person that's on the council every time it runs and when they change positions is for the same position, the same ward. And so in 2018, I decided to run. And I won. I ran again in what year did we run? 2022. I think it was this year. No, 21. We ran and I won my second term. But being on the council, I had a lot of knowledge of politics and really how to deal with people. And I think by me being the sister-in-law, the ex-sister-in-law to Daddy, I think people thought that I was gonna, I guess, I would say the people that on the council, I think they thought I was gonna come in with that same drive that Daddy had. And I got that same drive, but in a different manner. Okay, and it's been pretty hard. And I know my other council members probably wouldn't think that I sometimes feel like I'm a little in the shadow of the city council, but I can feel that way sometimes. But I notice it's getting better and better and better. And what I do when I feel like I'm really not a part of the council, I have conversations behind closed doors with the mayor and the city manager, and I let them know how I feel and what my agenda is, what my objectives is, and what I'm trying to do as a council person. And so I think I've gained a lot of respect from them than I did when I first got on the council. My objective is to try to bring our community back together. And the hardest part of being in the seat that I sit in as a city council person, as a only black, is getting people to trust politicians. I think I'm slowly gaining back the trust of constituents, of the community, and everything. And how I do that is I create different events and let people come out and see who I am, see what I'm trying to do in the community. I've introduced some things to the city council that I would like to see happen in Ward 1, which is the ward I serve, and the city has come through with some of those things. Like I think the first thing I worked on is getting some roads in the community paved, getting some sidewalks put in, a lot of the different infrastructure. The biggest project they're working on now that I'm working on with the city is that streetscape, that Martin Luther King streetscape. Mm-hmm. So, and my biggest challenge is growth. Economic development is the biggest challenge in this community, because right now I see a lot of gentrification. I'm just going to use the word because that's what it is. And affordable housing. Mm-hmm. There have been so many people that has been displaced. There are people that wants to live in Auburn, cannot come here and live because of the cost of living here, and there's not enough affordable housing. And I'm going to talk about the neighborhood that me and you sitting in right now. Mm-hmm. This area right here used to be called the quarters. Okay, back in my generation of coming up, this was a whole black neighborhood. There was a movie theater right there on that corner. When you coming in, there used to be a movie theater right there. On the corner coming off of Bragg onto Fraser Street, it used to be a cab station and barbershop. Right across it on the other end of it, on the other side, across the street from it, used to be a grocery store called Mr. Vick's Grocery Store. Okay? And then all these neighbors in here were black people. So now, today, if you look at that, all that has changed. This is not the only neighborhood that has those changes. When you look at the inner Dean Road, mm-hmm. all that used to be called the back line. Right in front of the railroad track used to be called the front line. I lived on the back line and I've lived on the front line growing up. And those were black neighborhoods. And then you got Gay Street. That was called, during that time, that was called the, I know somebody probably already told you. I lost my train of thought. Draketown. That was Draketown. So we had neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods had names, and the streets in the neighborhood, they were named after different black people. Mm-hmm. So all these streets, that's on the west side, most of them named after, some of the black people that lived in these communities. Right down in here, this dead end right here, there used to be a dirt road. So there was a lot of dirt roads in our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. That, thank God they've been paved and that type of stuff. But I went from living on the back line to the front line to the housing authority. So I basically grew up in the housing authority. Mm-hmm. Okay, after I got a certain age. But being on the council, being the only black on the council, there's time that it can really be challenging, and I'm glad that I came on I waited till now. Don't put them hooves back in there. Oh, this is gonna be on the tape.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. That it has been challenging, but what I was saying is I'm glad I came at the time that I came on the council, simply because I have a lot of, I have other people that does support some of my ideas and and that type of stuff, and I understand that things get easier as time goes on. So there probably was a lot of challenges for the ones that came before me, and I just work with what I got, and I try to do the best I can for the community. I like working with people since I've been on the council. I have formed an organization, a nonprofit organization called the Northwest Auburn Task Force.
The who?
Northwest Auburn Task Force, Inc. Incorporation. And under that nonprofit, I have 2 youth groups, and they are called YFABs and Match. Y/FABS, and those are the girls, and that's Young Female Achiever Believer Scouts. And I have Match, MATCH, and those are our guys, and it's males aiming to change history. I started off with 7 kids, and I'm up to 53. Okay, and we serve our community. We serve the kids in the community, basically the underprivileged kids in the community, those kids that's at risk, those type of kids, and we teach life skills. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of support from the council. I'm not going to say a lot, but I have support from the council when it comes down to having different events and that type of stuff. I have, those that comes out and support some of the events that we do with the kids and with the senior citizens. Mm-hmm. So we focus mainly on our senior citizens and our youth in this community. And it's not a Ward 1 organization, it's a community organization. Mm-hmm. So I guess I basically, unless you asking me some questions about being on the council, that's my spiel on it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you go into more detail? I'm interested about the YFABs and the Match group that you're talking about, and like what kind of events y'all do. And
we're getting ready to have a fall festival.
Okay, tell me more about that, please.
Okay, tomorrow we'll be having our youth will be, and what we do, we let our kids sponsor these events. And so they will sponsor the fall festival at the Boykin Community Center. Most of our events are done at the Boykin Community Center, which is located in my ward. Mm-hmm. And my kids start from the ages of 4, and they go all the way up. The oldest one we got in there now is probably 14. Mm-hmm. And so that's not the stopping age, but they're just the oldest one that we have in there right now. And we meet the 3rd Sunday of every month at Boykin from 2 to 4:30 p.m. We feed our children. We teach them skills. We have people that comes in and actually do things. We have speakers to come in sometime, and sometimes we just teach them lessons. But mostly our biggest thing is life skills. Okay. They are kids from Lee and Macon County. We don't have any transportation right now for our children, so that's the biggest challenge we got going on right now is trying to get transportation so that we will be able to take the kids. We take them on a trip, an end of the year trip every year. They graduate, and they graduate not out of the program. They graduate to different levels. Okay, so it's like a level program. Our first level, we started off with mannerism. We're working on fundraising on this level here, so we'll be doing a fundraiser on Sunday. So we just try to, we have a lot of, different organizations that contribute to some of the events and stuff that we have for this, and let our kids sponsor. Actually, they have a kiddie prom every year. Uh-huh. We have my son that came in the house. He's one of the founders of the YFAB. Of the Match. Mm-hmm. And me and a girl from Macon County is the founder of the YFABs. And so we started kind of, because we got more girls than we got boys. Uh-huh. And so we just let them all, it's really like unisex group. Uh-huh. And so we just let them all do everything together. And we take them on trips. Um, they very very mannered, and you're welcome to come out in our meetings if you want to and just observe. And you know, observe. You can bring another team of people if they want to interact with the kids. We want people to come in and be a part of the organization, and we want them to be a part of the community. Another big thing that we do with our kids is community services.
Okay.
When we have events for the seniors, our youth group actually serve the seniors. So we got this big Valentine dinner for the senior citizen going on, and our kids are the servers. So, and we do that we have a Black History program. They sponsors a Black History program. Like I said, we do a prom. We do the graduation. So every month we have some activity other than our meeting. We only meet once a month. Okay. We want to try to meet more. We want to try to do a summer camp. Okay. We're working on trying to do a summer camp in the summertime, but we don't have a place. We don't really have the funds, and so we just slowly trying to work on some type of summer camp for the kids in the summertime so that they just won't be out there. And so they've had different people to come in and speak with them. Our police department, police officers, they came and we did a section on bullying. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a lot of different things that we do with the kids. It's been going on 4 years now. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What kind of life skills do y'all try to teach them?
Well, life skills to you may be different because I'm sort of old school, but life skills are the skills that we learned when we was coming up. Okay. And part of life skills is mannerism. Okay? Because if you go to these different places now, and I don't know if you encounter them, I just encountered something last night at the restaurant, people attitudes. Okay? We want these kids to have good attitudes. We want them to be professional. We want them to learn how to speak correctly. We teach them we don't do this. We sit up straight. We sit with our feet on the floor. Mm-hmm. Girls be girls. Guys be guys. We teach our older kids to cater to our younger kids. So those are the life skills that I came up with, and I think my parents did pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so, I'll just say that those are the skills that most kids came up with. Hopefully, whether they were black or white, and it, almost like this generation has lost a lot of that. So we're trying to bring back that because your life skills will take you a long ways in life, regardless. Mm-hmm. We want them to succeed in life. We want all our kids to go to college, but we know that may not happen. So we try to teach them to be the best at whatever they choose in life and be productive.
What are also some of the things that you have worked on as being a city council member you have tried to push into Auburn?
Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a celebration of our freedom. Mm-hmm. And so I think this Juneteenth is maybe our 4th celebration. Okay. Of Juneteenth. And every year it gets bigger. So this year, because this year ain't going out, 2023 was our first Juneteenth parade. Okay. And then so we recognize people from the communities, black people from the communities that have paved the way. Okay. So we call them unsung heroes. Unsung heroes. So we celebrate unsung hero and Juneteenth together. Okay. So at Juneteenth we recognize different people from the community that has paved the way for the black community.
So what do y'all normally do at these events? You said it was the first parade, but is it like
a parade?
Okay, it's just a parade.
It's a Juneteenth parade.
Okay, do y'all have like food there, drinks?
Not at the parade,
Okay.
but at the events, yes.
Okay.
And all of our events are free.
Okay.
Okay, it's not I'm a non-profit organization, so we can't really do nothing for profit, but we do have donation where people come in and they bring food, they donate food, so we have free events. So even with the senior citizen dinners, Thanksgiving dinner and stuff, all the food is going to be donated, and we've tried to feed our seniors, disabled, and homeless people at most of our events. Or we have the senior citizen Valentine Ball every year, which is very huge and a big success. I wish I had time to show you all the pictures. But we have people, and I have support from the city.
Okay.
So they do give, they give towards our events, especially Juneteenth, and the Valentine Ball for our seniors and stuff, and sometimes with our kids when we want to take our kids somewhere, and they'll help out with those type of things. Mm-hmm.
So do y'all follow, like, what roads do y'all take on the parade?
I'm glad you asked. We didn't do a traditional parade downtown.
Okay.
We did it in our community. It went from the beginning of Boykin, by Boykin Community Center,
Mm-hmm.
and it went all the way to Drake School.
Okay.
Okay. But this year, my plans is, and I've talked to the city, I wanted to do it along the Martin Luther King stretch, but they was getting ready to work on the streetscape. So next year, I'm hoping they'll be finished with the streetscape, and we can come down Martin Luther King with the parade.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out pretty good for it to be the first parade.
Really? Was it a good turnout?
I think the turnout could have been better, but it was Father's Day.
Oh.
It was when we did the parade. It was Father's Day.
Okay.
So, cause we did it on a Sunday, and that Sunday fell on Father's Day, and then the Monday was actually Juneteenth holiday. So we did the event at Keyser Park.
Okay.
The next day, out there, which was a huge turnout.
Okay. Is it normally a 2-part event like that, or that's just how it kind of fell into place? Like the event one day on Juneteenth, and then you had the
parade. Now we do it. We try to do it separate.
Okay.
Okay. This year I've put in to have the parade on a Friday evening, and we're gonna do Juneteenth on a Saturday, because once again Father's Day gonna fall on that Sunday, so we don't want to interrupt Father's Day anymore, because we didn't really get the. There was people out there, but it wasn't. It probably would have been more, but people, left. Some people left town with the families, and you just got Father's Day going on. So I think that interfered with a lot of the participants. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Are you still part of the NAACP today?
I am.
Yes, and you're part of the Lee County chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are some of the things that you would like to tackle, or maybe you are going through the process of it? Because I think, isn't there something that happened?
The Webster Crossing situation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into detail about how?
Well, that Webster Crossing issue has been an issue for a very, very long time, even before I got on the council. So I know Ada L. Didell tried to help those people in Webster Crossing, because of they were just really feeling like they was not being treated fairly by the management and the owner of the trailer park. So since I've been on the council, one of the first things when I was campaigning is that was the issue that came up. So I actually went to the previous mayor, Bill Ham, and I sit down and talked to him, and he wrote a letter to the owner. I think he knew him some kind of way, wrote a letter to him about some of the conditions that was in Webster Crossing that I saw myself, not just people telling me, but people were telling me too, but I encountered, because I got a lot of friends staying in Webster Crossing. And so I'm down there, quite often. So the road condition is really one of the worst, and sewer problems. Okay, and people, the tenants say that they'll just go up on their rent, like there was a trailer park that closed down where Buckets is at. Okay, a lot of those people got displaced, and some of those trailers, they had to abandon their trailers because they didn't have the resources or the monies to move the trailers. So a lot of those trailers went into Webster Crossing. And so now they have more rental. They have just as many rental trailers down there than people actually owning trailers. Um, the situation has not changed down there. So the people came to me as a city council person. Okay, I felt like I did as much as I can as a city council because it's private property. So there's laws that limit the city from doing so much on private property. So I had them to reach out to the NAACP, which I am a part of. So I'm gonna separate my councilmanship, and now we everybody just work with the NAACP. So I had a ward meeting a few months ago at Boykin, and the people came out, but probably about 60 people came out, and they voiced their concern as to different things. People were being evicted for no reason, and the owners were taking money from them, and so the owners were taking cash money from some of the Hispanics down there, and so they weren't turning it in to the, not the owners but the management were taking money from them, and they wasn't turning that money in to the owners.
Okay.
And so to the owners, they wasn't paying their rent. Okay. So it was a lot of complaints like that. Well, come to find out, there's some legal, and I can't really just get into it, but there's some legal things going on right now with that situation. And so we're still working on that. And actually, I found out some news today because myself, the mayor, the city manager, the state representative, which is Pebble Warren, and our county commissioner, which is Richard LeGrand, we sat down on Zoom and talked with the owners, which is the what is their name? Well, anyway, we talked with the owners, and we had a Zoom conversation with them, and they gave us all this stuff about people not paying their rent and blah 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 blah. And one of the questions I asked them is one thing I wanted to know from them is how they choose their management, because most of the complaints wasn't about the owners. Most of the complaints was about management there, okay, and how they was being treated by management. And I just wanted to know, are those people certified? Well, come to find out, the last owner they had a record longer than did some of everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just wondering, how do y'all go about choosing y'all managers? Do you do backgrounds checks and stuff? So they say they base their decision off of skills. So those managers have to be skilled workers. Know how to fix on stuff and know how to do this kind of stuff. Where I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to. I just don't want to. You may want to talk to more with the NAACP. I sit on the executive board of the NAACP. I'm not the president, vice president, anything, but I am on the board. Okay, so you probably want to talk to mostly to them about more of a detail, because I don't want to violate any city ethic codes by talking about certain stuff about what's going on with that situation, because it's basically out of the city council hand. Okay. So
you're on the executive board of the NAACP. So what does that look like for you? Like, exactly does that entail?
Well, it's just that we're board members, and we make decisions. A lot of time the board have to come in and with the president and the vice president and all those people. So we serve as a board, but we're really part of the executive portion of the NAACP. And so we hear what they hear. We have our own separate meetings from the general body. We just have the executive committee to meet at a different time to discuss things to bring to the general body. So it's sort of on that level.
What are some of the things that your parents or your grandparents or your aunts taught you that you still carry with you today?
Respect for people. Values. um, to never give up. Uh, my aunt basically taught me a lot of stuff when I was coming up, and she just taught me, how to hold my head up, and if you're gonna be in the fight, be in it. Uh, Always choose your battles. Don't jump in every fight just because there's a fight out there. And I've learned that do your research before you actually engage yourself in certain things,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you'll step out there and you find yourself out there all by yourself. So, but I think that my growing up from mostly my aunts taught me a lot of values. So family is always important. Um, Raising my boys the best that I could, and I try to instill good values in them. It don't always work out that way, but they can't say they ain't got it. But so I think I've done pretty good from the way that I was brought up. I saw a lot when I was growing up. I saw a lot of abuse. I've encountered abuse. Um, but it kept me strong. I was the first one of my siblings to graduate from high school and to go on to college. So I think I come a long ways, but I got a long ways to go. I ain't got too long because I'm 63 years old, so
That ain't all.
it's old. May not look old or sound old, but it's old.
Well, that's about all the questions that I have for you. Just a reminder, we did record this and with your consent, and you do have the right, if you do not want me to turn this in, I can erase it if you please.
I don't. I think the purpose of me saying yes, I would interview for this. Whatever you need to do with it, I'm good. As long as it's not gonna discredit me in any kind of way, I'm good. Yeah.
No.
So I'm comfortable with, and I hope you're comfortable with some of the answers that I gave you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, but yeah, I'm okay. I'm good.